So the idea that we're going to spread tonight, I want you to think about, is feedback. All right, just think about feedback and what part it might play in your lives and the cities that you live in and work in and play in and move around in. And I'm going to show you parts of an exhibition for which I'm curator at the London Transport Museum. I'm Curator of the Future, which is a great title. If you want to get a hot tip on the Oaks in 2020, just ask me. I know the horse hasn't been born yet, but don't worry about it. So Sense in the City, it was an exhibition we've been working on for 3 years. We couldn't get people to get it until I changed the title to Sense in the City, and once we got the play on Sex in the City, people got it. The exhibition's in 3 sections. We look at the past, the near present, the near future, and visualization. We look at past utopias, ways of looking at cities that have gone on before, wonderful drawings, some equipment that you'll be familiar with, just to give people a grounding, and wonderful inventions like the highly sustainable Sinclair C5. And in fact, in the exhibition, there are clips of the original promo films for the Sinclair C5 with people dangerously pedalling along with Arctic lorry wheels above them. This is the exhibition. The exhibition has 8 touchscreen panels, and each of those covers one of those topics. And what we did in the exhibition, which is open now, was to look at different ways of creating sustainable transport within the city. This is an emotion bike. It's a bike with a surface which responds to how you're feeling. So that if you're feeling happy, it's green or pink or whatever, and if you're feeling really angry, it glows red. So if you see a red one, you know to keep out of the way. It can also be used to advertise, perhaps you're looking for a partner, that you're available that evening. Follow me, you see. It has lots of potential. There it is. He's a student at the Royal College of Art. So it's now possible with digital technology, LEDs and so on, to map surfaces and use surfaces, not just as projection spaces, which was done in Durham recently with the Lumiere Festival, but use them as touch surfaces that we're getting very used to. So now we're going to look at some of the sensing technologies which exist. This is from the Boris Bike system in London, and this maps the use of the bikes because the docks record when the bike is undocked and when it's docked. This is the pattern of use every morning, and this is the pattern of use at the weekend. Okay, and the reason that that difference happens is obviously you've got the parks. The most lively hub is Waterloo. And then you can put that using processing into a visualization. This is done at the Centre for Advanced Spatial Analysis at University College, London. We work with them on this project, and I'm working with them on another project. This is at the beautiful end of data. It's not very useful, but it's quite instructive. This is not the actual routes that the bicycles take, by the way. This is the route between, using, for those of you who know your maths, the shortest path algorithm between the undock and the dock station. Just thought you ought to know that. Here you see the docks early in the morning. The bicycles are being undocked. And here you see from the same data, this is really early in the morning, so there are not many people at 6 in the morning hiring bikes. We have sampled people, asked them what they think about these changes in cities. And these are recorded in the exhibition. I don't actually have the results of the database here, but we could talk about that. And these are then visualized within the exhibition. So you get feedback during the show itself about how other people are thinking. And then we have an immersion theatre. And this is the section that I'd like to talk to you about particularly. This is Aaron Koblin's work. Aaron's now head of the creative lab at Google. These are, some of you will have seen this, the flight paths of American aircraft as America wakes up during the day. These are the GPS traces of the flights. And you can see on the left-hand side the number of planes in the air and the Eastern Standard Time timing. So with sensing and acting and visualization, it starts to become possible to visualize mechanical systems in an organic way. You can look at these telephone conversations across the planet. This is all work done by MIT. And you can look at how the planet morphs during a 24-hour cycle as people make calls. And this is London. Now, somebody was saying earlier that the north is, I won't say over, but slowing down. This conclusively proves that. It's quite difficult to see, I'm afraid, with the lights on. But this is, if you look at the clock on the left-hand side at the top, you'll see that only London is actually awake at that early in the morning. It never sleeps. Actually, New York's the only subway system, I think, which actually literally does never sleep. As you see the time clock running, you can see London waking up. You could think about whether regional policy is worth doing. You could look at this map and say, why don't we just move everything to the southeast and the rest of the country could be a recreation park? That's the same with looking at multimodal transport. I'm looking to my timekeeper. Once you're able to capture data, this is also MIT's work on Singapore, you can think about and interact with the city differently. These are mobile phone signals in Singapore, and these are heat mappings of the city. And this, which you could make available on your mobile phone, is a mobile isochrone of travel times. It morphs Singapore so that you can see which are the shortest and longest ways to get somewhere. This is an MIT project which we haven't got time to run all of, but it's called Trash Track. Some of you may have seen it. It puts a mobile phone transmitter, an adapted device, in 2,000 pieces of rubbish, and people then dump them in the trash can or whatever, and you can see where they go. So my question to you is, and these are just tiny snapshots of what these new sensing and positioning and feedback technologies do, is could you imagine creating a city, a neighbourhood, a place, a workplace, which had sensing systems built into it, and which was self-organising? We're very used to thinking about cities and places and spaces and organisations as requiring a huge structure. And I think we're on the edge of a sensing and thinking and visualising, particularly, revolution. I mean, 60 or 70% of this is a visual system. That allows us to see not only where we are and how we're connected to our environment, but who we are and how we connect to other people in new ways. And this is beginning to happen with apps on the phone like this. This is Waze. This is a phone app that if there's a crash or a traffic jam or something, you put this into it, that then communicates with the Waze community. So you've got a way through a feedback loop of changing road behaviour, which 2 years ago was happening on 5 Live, is now happening on your phone. And here, this is when is the bus coming. So this is now in London. You just check on your iPhone to see when the bus is approaching, and you make your travel and movement patterns alter accordingly. And then this, which is Groupon, which some of you will be familiar with, this is a way of making new markets much more fluid. Fluidizing the city and fluidizing the market is part of that visually rich, digitally connected, sensed and sensing future. And if we were to pursue that line of development, locally and regionally and nationally, we might be able to do away with a huge amount of apparatus of big institutions and big organisations. And we might truly create sustainable cities and sustainable transport. So that's my idea that I wanted to share with you. Thank you.